Welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about Transformers The Last Night. We will cover some interesting movie facts here, a quick review, look at a box office number and production budget, and discuss the ending. Let's get started. Transformers The Last Night has generated a moderate $15.7 million in first day business. Wednesday in North America, signaling a launch in a $65 million range for the first 5 days. The domestic launch at 4:67 midnight site of the fifth Transformers film came in somewhat below studio forecast, which had been about $70 million for the Wednesday period. With a production cost of $270 million, Transformers The Last Night is a high stake that they are dependent on its overseas performances to wind up with a profit. Its opening day number is also below that of many other movies in the modern franchise. The 2007 original grossed $36 million when it opened on a Tuesday. 2009 Revenge of the Fallen earned $62 million on a Wednesday, and as 11th Dark of the Moon, also launched on a Wednesday, brought in the $37 million Age of Extinction. The most recent installment before Last Night opened on Friday to $41.9 million. The Last Night opens in the 42 foreign territories this weekend, including China, the UK, Russia, Australia, Germany, Italy, South Korea, and Hong Kong. That's about 80% of the international footprint for the film. The sci-fi tentpole starring and directed by Michael Bay, generated on a Disney B+ cinema score from first day moviegoers. The Wednesday numbers included $5.5 million in Tuesday previews at about 3,000 locations. The preview numbers of the $5.5 million is a match for the Thursday night previews from May 26 on Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean. That Man Shall Not Tell. Aside from Wahlberg, the Last Night cast also includes Stanley Tuesday surprising his role from Age of Extinction, alongside Josh Garrison Gibson and John Movie's newcomer include Isabela Moner, who portrays a sweet kid whose wise beyond her year, and Anthony Hopkins is in the key role of Sir Burgeon on a astronomer and historian who lives with the several Transformers on an estate in the British countryside. Hopkins and Wahlberg are in a race to prevent the destruction of the world by uncovering the secret of the past and origin of the Transformers. The weekend is seeing the adding to the summer slump with a season John 4.7 to $1.54 million to date as one of June 20 according to his score. Year-to-date box office is up 4.7% to be $5.39 million. The expected performances of the Transformers 5 will unlikely be able to be reversed in June gloom, said Paul, senior media analyst at ComScore. However, of this season has taught us anything, is that fortune can rise and fall faster in this marketplace than perhaps any other in recent memory, and any other long-term prognostication about where the summer will wind up come Labor Day should definitely be written in pencil. The fans thought it was a day they would never see. The fans thought it was a day would never see. But in Transformers The Last Night, a team's fearless leader, Optimus Prime turns evil. It's a kind of twist that Transformers fans were primed to dismiss as Hollywood running out of ideas. But just as was the case with the Dome and the Fate of the Furious, the actual story of how a hero like Optimus Prime becomes a villain in is always more interesting than you might expect. In Transformers 5, the corruption of our hero and his mission to be restored, Cybertron gives birth to a new enemy, Nemesis Prime. To get into the details of Optimus' transformation, fans will probably need a bite of reminder of where his story last led him. That's the point where the last night began dropping the hero, and Odyssey snake out the depth of Transformers mythology. It's a sudden step into the fiction of the original Transformers. That's the point where the last night began dropping the hero, and the audience smack into the depth of Transformers mythology. It's a sudden step into the fiction of the original Transformers series that hold up most promises for just how Transformers 5 is launching a new movie. But to newcomers or those left overloaded with the lore from the movie itself, we are here to be help break it down. Needless to say, those averse to be spoiler will want to be read no further as we answer the burning question of Transformers 5 who does Optimus Prime turn evil? As a quick refresher, Optimus Prime was left with plenty of the questions about Earth history, with Sabertooth's own creature. After learning that he had carpet bombed the planet to be harvest steaming metal, bringing about the extinction of the dinosaur as a result. It was the very first look offered at a creature of the Transformers, one of their hands at least. Piloting advanced aircraft chain of millions of years in Earth's ancient history. As mentioned, they arrived on Earth not to be observed, but to little the planet's surface with a said small explosive that, when detonated, converted all organic matter within its space blast radius into metal to be harvested. This metal was dubbed transformation by human and twisted into the cutting edge technology. But it all took a backseat to the contract placed on Optimus Prime's head. The revelations of the creators meddling with the earth and its inhabitant, as well as the price on his head all raised flag for the Autobot. That was the main history of the Transformers Age of the Extinction. Adventure villain, boat boss, bounty hunter, and villain knockoff created accidentally by human. Where dealt with Optimus don't wait around to be get to be bottom of it. Bidding farewell to his outbound allies, he rocketed immediately into the sky, blasting off into the space. As he left our planet behind, his narration promised his creature that he was coming for them. And when Optimus Prime says he is going to be meet his maker, well, what did fans expect? As his friends struggle to be remain hidden from our military, being created is trigger to be tracked their very move, regardless of Autobot deception of affiliation. Optimus' journey back to his home of Cybertron his speed bump. The good news is that he crashes back into it. The bad news is that when he does, he is brought face to face with a creature calling herself and exchanging ordering him in place at a first warning that his meeting is not going to go as he had planned. The connection to the source material are worth pointing out, as we have previously explored the origin story of the Transformer at length. To keep that story short, the original Transformers origin sees them created by Grace known as Quantism of the homeworld Quantisa. Brilliant and evilly advanced. It was these aliens who first mastered the living matter, creating the Transformer to serve them. But when those began gained sentence, things spun out of the control as they always do in fictional and surprising. The Transformers robbed the creator of the planet long before it was destroyed in their war, and it looked like the Quintessa has returned with a solution to make all of Optimus' dream come true. It's impossible to say if Quintessa's race is matched body creature shown previously, and her devious nature make it hard to make her at her word. We would like to think that Optimus would have come to the same conclusion had Quintessa not acted too quickly to be silence him, creating a dark reflection of the Autobot later in the process. The turn from hero to villain was teased in Transformers 5 marketing as Optimus' eyes turned from his usual blue to a deep purple, a subtle cue to make fans rethink the Autobot as hero. The simplest characterization would be to say the Quintessa simply brainwashes or hypnotizes Optimus to her cause, and would not be inaccurate. It fans not be to be charitable the desperation that Optimus most likely faced after years spent trying to bring new life to Sabertooth make him an easy mark. Quintessa merely stated that if Art dies, Cybertron lives again and mentally manipulated the Autobot fall in line. Thankfully for his friend, the heart of true Optimus still beats in core of Nemesis Prime. For those who think it's a bite of a wave of the hand on the filmmaker, far to have Optimus turn bad. Well, they have a point, but the actual metaphysical, mental, spiritual Psychological details of the Transformers have never been explicit or constantly outlined. It's a mythological mess to say that Quintessa, if she is a creature, would be able to be somehow wield power to be control over Optimus Prime was actually fairly believable. But Optimus decided to be revived his home only take him so far. When his friend Bumblebee finally speaks to him, it's enough to be snap Optimus out of Quintessa's control. Countless clones of the hero have earned the moniker of Nemesis, but it can finally be applied to Optimus himself at the same time. The Transformers 5 post-credit scene suggests Quintessa's torment of the Earth and her creation is only getting started. Whether she is still looking for Cybertron and its living metal inhabitant and what she is planning for the unicorn transformer around which Earth is built. These are questions for the sequel. So Transformers The Last Night has a post-credit scene, and while it's nothing groundbreaking, it does indicate who could be the villain in the next series installment. But before we get to that, let's go over the film reveal about Transformers mythology overall. Bumblebee, everything we know about the Transformers spin-off so far. In The Last Night, it's revealed that Earth is fact unicorn, the primary antagonist in 1986 animated Transformers. The movie, the central plot of the film, hung on the villain's Quintessa, the creator of the Transformers, manipulating the Optimus into destroying Unicorn for the purpose of harnessing its energy to be restored Cybertron. Of course, Quintessa is defeated by the film's end, and as therefore Unicorn's destruction is averted. That is until the post-credit scene reveal Quintessa is indeed alive. That is until the post-credit scene reveal Quintessa is indeed alive. The scene plays out like this. Our scientists are studying the Sabertonian structure that emerged from the planet's surface in the wake of the film's event. Then a traveler emerges, seemingly a non-threatening woman, dressed in blue, approaches them and says he has knowledge ready to be destroyed this new fiction on your planet, indicating that he is referring to be unicorn or doesn't like to be uttered. After this moment, a shimmer moves across the woman's face, revealing that it's only a human facade of Quintessa. The suggests Quintessa is not done with her plan, as she is still very much intent on meddling with Earth for the purpose of future destruction and the destruction of Cybertron. But what exactly is Unicorn and how could it play a role in the next Transformers movie? Unicorn, it is suggested, it's a planet-sized transformer that can consume entire planet. Its original preceded the dawn of time, as he was created by a being known as the One as representation of future. Unicorn has a twin brother, Primus, a force of good, and he is polar opposite. In Transformers, Unicorn has the ability to possess other Transformers, much like Quintessa did to be Optimus Prime in The Last Night, whether they be a Autobot or Deception. How exactly Unicorn come into play in a next Transformers film is still a mystery at this point, but his more inclusion in the live-action franchise's mythology spell a major catalysmic threat in the next installment. In theater now, Transformers The Last Night star franchise veteran Mark Wahlberg and Stanley Tucci, Tyrese Gibson and John, joined by newcomer Isabela Moner-Lamb and Mitch Pileggi. So Transformers The Last Night has a post-credit scene, and while it's nothing groundbreaking, it does indicate who could be the villain in the next series installment. But before we get at it, let's go over what the film reveals about Transformers mythology overall. Bumblebee, everything we know about the Transformers spin-off so far. In The Last Night, the Transformers franchise is no stranger to be post-credit scene, hinting at future movies. The first Transformers has starred Scream flying into the space, and the first three all had jokey little scenes that did not greatly affect the franchise. Transformers Age of Extinction ditched and mid-credit scene entirely, but are made a comeback in Transformers The Last Night. At the climax of the Transformers The Last Night, Optimus Prime and Bumblebee team up to defeat Quintessa, the Prime of Life, whose game she created a Transformers Quintessa is flung out of the spaceship, deceptively and Autobot celebrate with a human. The credits start to roll, but the movie does not end. We got to be woman wandering the desert. She comes to one of the horns sticking up out of the ground that precedes the arrival of the Sabaton. She speaks to one of the men working on the horn. What exactly he's doing, advocating the researching, or something else is not clear. She smiles and there is a flash of the Transformers technology beneath her skin, heavily implying that the woman is Quintessa, inhuman from the Transformers' Revenge of the Fallen. The series established that the Transformers can disguise themselves. The danger is that the Quintessa is alive. She wants to be used the horn of some nefarious purpose, and she will be the villain in the next non-spin-off Transformers movie. On the one hand, I suppose that all well and good. Megatron has already been the battery for more than half of these movies thus far, so it's probably better to be hand a reign over to be someone else. That being said, it would not be nice if a future Transformers movie gave Quintessa some depth rather than her just being evil because the movie needs someone to be evil, rather than painting her as a callous and figure. It would be interesting to see Quintessa in more of a maternal role. The Transformers are basically her children, so it does some weird to be her action, where any parent just wants to burst for their kid. It's just that the best would be wiping out humanity. The Transformers film franchise is moving forward in a big way regardless of what happened with our new movie. Nothing makes that clear than the new film's post-credit sequences. While the previous panel scene have added little to the overall story of the Transformers, the one that accompanies Transformers The Last Night will almost certainly have that implication for the future of the franchise. After a view of the credit roll, we get a moment with a strange woman standing in the desert, but as to be expected, she is more than a mere guy. For some background, a new big habit of Transformers, The Last Night of Quintessa. Like the Transformers, she is some strange combination of person and machine. She is also clearly unique, and she is claimed to have created a Transformers race. She enlists Optimus Prime to help her obtain a staff that had been stolen from her with a promise that it can drain energy from Earth in order to revitalize the Transformer home part of the Sabaton. We also learn a vital piece of the information that Earth is in fact Unicorn, a planet known to be the ancient enemy of the Sabaton. Several metallic horns begin to animate themselves on the planet, whose purpose is not entirely clear, but is clear part of the Quintessa's plan. Transformers The Last Night is a 2017 American science fiction action film based on the toy line of the same name created by Hasbro. It's the fifth installment of the live-action Transformers film series and a sequel 2014, Age of Extinction, directed by Michael Bay. The film features Mark Wahlberg and Stan Lee, returning from Age of Extinction, alongside Josh, Johan, Johnny, and Glenn from the first three films, reprising their role from the first three films, and Anthony Hopkins joining the cast. Way and Wahlberg have stated this film marks their final picture in the franchise. The film premiered at the Odeon Square in London on June 18, 2017 by Paramount Pictures in 2D, 3D, and IMAX 3D. The film was panned by critics and fans who criticized in writing. The acting, plot, storyline, pacing, humor, character, excessive record continuity error, action sequences, editing, and frequent aspect changes. However, its visual effect and musical score received praise. It grossed only $6.5 million worldwide against the production budget, but into $17 million to losing in a first installment. King Arthur leads his knight and his soldier into a battle against the Saxons. However, the Saxons overpowered them, giving the Saxons the upper edge. Having realized this, enlists the help of the magician, who negotiate with a Sabaton knight. The knight gives men a staff that wields ultimate power, and transforms along with his other 11 knights into a large dragon. Transformers named Dragonstone. In the present day, after the battle, Hong Kong Optimus Prime has left Earth in search of his creator. All Transformers, regardless of the faction, remain outcasts on Earth. However, more Transformers have been arriving on the planet recently. In the years since Prime left of Transformers, the Action Force dedicated itself to be hunting down and destroying Transformers all of action, following the dissolution of the event in the half of the war zone area of Chicago. A group of kids stumble upon a crashed alien ship with a Cybertronian knights inside. The kids are confronted by a TRF Walker, which is destroyed by Isabela, a survivor of the Battle of Chicago. Isabela and her Transformers companion, Skates and Canopy, are shakes to be escaped, but Canopy is shot by TRF drone and dies. Shortly after the Bumblebee and Kid Eager. Meanwhile, Optimus Prime crash lands on his named planet Cybertron. Finding that Cybertron is dead, Optimus confronts his creator, a powerful sorcerer named Quintessa. She restrains him and relieves him of his sword and shield. Quintessa corrupts Prime, promising him a chance to save Cybertron, making Optimus believe that he was the reason why it was destroyed in the first place. Quintessa explains now that Earth is actually a transformer itself, named Unicorn. She reveals that Unicorn is Cybertron's enemy, and that she must use a hidden artifact on Earth in order to begin the energy to fix Cybertron. The artifact in the Merlin soft and was stolen from her by the 12th Knight of the Night and hid the artifact on Earth and gave it to Merlin. She then jobs him, namesake Prime. Eager hides out as a junkyard which serves as a sanctuary of many of the surviving Autobots. Bumblebee, Horn, Drift, Glenrockville, and many others. While here Yeagers find that Isabela has followed him back. Yeager tells her to leave, but Isabela wants to be safe and fight. The next morning, Megatron, Deception arrive at the junkyard, and Megatron briefly engaged a hound. Meanwhile, the Autobot kid, Isabela, and Jamie arrive in the abandoned city. Drift and the Crosshair kill Ocelot. With Bumblebee kills, the TRF arrive and shoot Code in her chest. However, the artifact saves Code. Yeager is confronted by the Transformer named Comgan, convincing him to go to England with him and be find out about the artifact. Meanwhile, an Oxford professor named Viviani Bombay is kidnapped by the Arthur Howard Road. Both are brought to England and meet Sir M. Burton, the last living member of the Witch-Beacon Order. Burton tells Kate of Vivian of the Transformers' origin, saying that the collision of the Cybertron with the Earth would spell certain doom. He tasks Vivian, the last descendant of Merlin, with obtaining his staff so they can prevent the impending apocalypse. Burton tells Yeager that his person defined by the honor and dignity. He is a last knight. The talisman given to Yeager has wrapped up around him by the point. The trio are forced to evacuate Burton's home when M16 and TRF arrive. With Yeager's help, Vivian dives into her father's past and finds that he must take the HMS Alliance into the sea to find the staff inside a night-sunken ship. Bumblebee, Yeager, and Vivian go to the Alliance with Gaugman and Burton, who neglect to go on to the journey and further. The Alliance needs to be for a machine, but is intercepted by a TRF submarine. The Alliance venture inside a machine, where Vivian and Yeager find a chamber of the Cybernation Knight, as well as Marine Stop one night. Bumblebee confronts and fight namesake Prime on the top of ship, as Yeager and Lennox struggle to step in. As namesake Prime is about to be killed, Bumblebee speaks, urging Prime to remember who he is. Optimus breaks free of the Quintessa control, but Megatron flies in and sees the staff from Optimus, revealing that Quintessa also had Megatron. While finding the staff, knowing the Prime would be too weak as Megatron escaped. The Cybertronian Knight attacked Optimus for his betrayal. Before his execution, Yeager's talisman became the sword and he stopped the fight. The Knight yielded to Yeager, who urged Optimus to protect the Earth once more. As Stonehenge, Megatron delivers the staff to be Quintessa, who uses it to gain energy from Unicorn Nut, as Cybertron slowly begins to be pull itself together. As the military intervenes, Megatron shoots Burton, who dies by the Comgun side. Optimus unites the Knight, the Autobot, and the US Army using the Lockdown ship. They set off to be Cybertron in order to stop this collision with Earth. Optimus Prime killed up in Falcon as an human prepared to escape the battle. Vivian's there to be retrieved staff, and Cat follows Optimus board the ship and at the Autobot in a fight Megatron. Prime defeats Megatron, and Bumblebee seemingly destroys. Paramount rolled out its fifth Transformers movie this weekend, and while it came out on top at box office, it did so with the lowest opening in franchise history. The Transformers The Last Night won its first box office weekend with an estimated $45 million its five-day opening. After debuting on Wednesday, June 21, comes in at $69 million, which itself is just below its $70 million three-day opening for the first Transformers movie, which opened in theater almost exactly 10 years ago. This franchise shows not only how unpredictable audiences can be, but how front-loaded the industry has become in the past decade. The Transformers the franchise kicked off 10 years ago with this first Transformers movie. Return young stars Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox into the household name. The movie opened well with a $70 million which would represent just 22.1% of its domestic gross of the $319 million which was the third highest grossing movie of 2007. Behind Shrek the Third, $22 million and Spider-Man 3, the 2009 sequel Transformers The Image of the Fallen opened much bigger, with a $108 million debut and rose to be $402 million domestically, second highest of 2009 behind Avatar. 2 years later in the next Transformers movie, Transformers Dark of the Moon, slipped just a bit at least domestically opening with $97 million. That trend would continue with the last installment 2014, Age of Extinction, which opened with $100 million, 40.8% of its domestic total, with $245 million domestic and $1.1 million worldwide, thanks to whopping the $320 million from China alone. The Chinese market will also be triggered to be success of Transformers. The last night and we reported last week that it posted a huge Chinese opening there of $45 million. The top 10 is rounded out by Car 3, Wonder Woman 47 Meter Dawn, All Eyes on Me, $5.85 million, Mummy $5.83 million, Pirate of the Caribbean, That Man Shall Not Tell, Rough Night, Captain Independent, the first epic movie, $4.2 million, and The Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2. Also opening in a limited release in the Lionsgate, The Big Stick, which opened strong with a $435 million from just 5 theaters for a 87,000 per screen average. Focus feature, The Big Guild remake also opened strong with a 240 from 4 theaters for a 60 vertical entertainment Alien Arrival, which will debut alongside Neon's The Bad Batch in the Cannes Beginner Guide to Snuff, while Neon's The Bad Batch opening with a 91 from 30 theaters for a middling 3036 per screen average and a documentary Food Evolution ad from the one theater. No box office data was given for another documentary, Football Arc Entertainment. The operatives ran the screen videos derived and cash raws to Blight. Looking ahead to be next weekend, Sony Pictures will roll out a Baby Driver on the Wednesday, June 28 with the Universal's animated sequel, Despicable Me 3 Warner Bros. Comedy The House and the Weinstein Company, Amityville The Awakening arriving in the theater Friday, June 30 to close out the month. Also arriving in the limited release in Sony Pictures, Classic 13 Minutes, Neon documentary The B-Side, Elsa, Portrait Photography, Gunpowder, Sky Comedy, The Little Hour. Paramount Transformers The Last Night come in with a $3 million bomb in the actual compared to the Sunday's estimate. That puts the prequel 5 equal at $199 million in 41 market at international box office. The result is closer to the high end of the pre-weekend range. The opening is also 2% ahead of the Transformers. Age of Extinction 2014 launched on a like-for-like basis and at restated rate. The global haul is now looking at a $267 million, partially the result of a bigger than expected drop in China from Saturday to Sunday. But the debut FS Cameo are lifted from $123 million to $125.3 million with an official number out of China. It's at $138 million through Monday. Those are strong figures, but the film is not expected to be lag out to be top age of extension record here in what could be a sign of franchise's fatigue. Along with the Middle Kingdom increases from Sunday's estimate to Monday's final were notably seen in Germany, Italy, the UK, Malaysia, and Poland. Launching in 41 offshore market, Paramount Transformer The Last Night opened to be $199 million at the international box office. That's big number and is toward the higher end of the pre-weekend range. But it's also a swing from where we saw this coming in yesterday, partially the result of an unexpected 31% drop in China from Saturday to Sunday. The debut has double as cum there is a $123 million out of full offshore how. Factoring in a domestic, the global total on the last night is a $269 million, while calling the overseas opening 2% ahead of Transformers Age of Extinction. Its 2014 launch was $189 million in like-for-like market and then restated the figure, comparing to another recent franchise prequel. Last night came in 42% above Pirate of the Caribbean. That man shall know still per the continuation of the Hasbro toy stunt action star movie had industry sources ahead of the weekend projecting an international opening between the $169 million to so they came within the range and arrival distribution access don't sniff at a nearby $200 million slot. But after China debuted bigger than some had expected, it began to look like the 3-5 was moving across the $200 million mark brought to be defty expectations. Then the market proved to be the wild card we often term it. Although the film lost the Middle Kingdom screen between the Saturday and Sunday, the drop was bigger than we have recently seen and daily growth was also soft in other cube contrary to typical pattern on a movie that was teed up for overseas. And China in particular, China currently wrapped for 63% of the full overseas total, within just 25% of Middle Kingdom received. Falling back to the studio, the film cost the reported $217 million before P&A. The broke opening is still the best for the Michael Bay franchise, but Hollywood tentpole then toward into 2.2 multiple there. That means last night would fall below final to $320 million in non-restated dollar. Age of Extinction played into the unofficial July blackout and it became the biggest import ever at the time. After 12 days of release, it's not clear if the temporary moratorium and outside fixes are being fully enforced by the proc power data this year. Illuminations Investors' Despicable Me 3 is the last Hollywood film currently slated for a while July 17. In all 40 out of 41 last night market debuted at number 1, behind China. Korea took $13 million at a 1727 location. Russia was next with a $8.5 million, the UK with a $5.9 million at 1022 and Germany on $4.9 million at 1107. There's a similar mix of the ultimate top 5 on Age of the Extinction. Major still to open include France, Brazil, Mexico, Japan and Spain. France we did $20 million on the previous movie. Notably was Wednesday this week to be take advantage of the final day of the local Federal Cinema reduced price ticket scheme. Coming up next weekend, DM Trip hits an additional 44 market. It will also be worth keeping an eye on Sony's Baby Driver in the UK where the Azure right-hand film began unspooling this Wednesday. It was a big topic of the positive conversation at exhibitor Confab Cinema Europe this past week, unsheathing his sword in the 41 offshore market. Optimus Prime and co-star Mark Wahlberg, Anthony Hopkins and Leora Haddock clocked at $199 million. The film's reported cost before P&J filmed within the pre-weekend projection are to some side getting to be $200 million or more. Still, the international figure lands with a top 10 opening of all time and by the rival account is solid number. Notable thought that 63% of the weekend came from China where studio recouped a lower 25% of the door than elsewhere. China leads with a $125 million at its 7,200 location for the biggest opening in the Michael Bay. Directed franchise and the fourth best start ever in the market. Age of Extinction made under cooperation agreement with a Chinese partner and co-starring Li Bingbang, bought to be $92 million in China in 2014. There has been a considerable growth in the market since then, and this film has Chinese investor and a marketing partner in Vanda. Owner of the most screen in the rig broke, but a steep 31% drop from Saturday to Sunday was not expected, and that was partially responsible for T5 not getting to a $200 million offshore launch. Sunday dips are typical. Although recent films have held better. Wonder Woman saw a roughly 20% drop in China, while Mummy came in at 26% and Alien Government at 24%. Comparing to Pirate 5 is not apple to apple as it opened on a holiday weekend. This is a franchise that has wider overseas appeal and has been teed up for foreign. And China T5 has a 4.9 score on Middle Kingdom. Reviews are double compared to the age of extension with $6.6 million. Hollywood tentpole have bought a 222 broke a multiple, which would see last night fall below, finally tallying non-restated dollar. The last pick made $320 million there. Last night has some China runway. We know major studio movie hitting the market until Despicable Me 3 on July 7. Spider-Man Homecoming swing into the wide international play the same day. Korea was the second biggest market behind China, with $13 million followed by the Russia with a $8.5 million and UK with $5.9 million and Germany only $4.9 million. That similar mix of the ultimate top 5 on Age of Extinction. But the film did not follow a typical pattern, with low growth in some hop from Friday to Saturday. Elsewhere, hubs in Southeast Asia and Australia round out the top 10. In Ukraine, T5 saw the biggest opening of the franchise and Paramount's biggest all-time bow. IMAX earned $16.7 million in 652 seconds, internationally marking it the biggest opening ever in the Transformers franchise and the fifth biggest for the format overseas. All of the previous films have gone from Saturn to be Saturn offshore, with critical response unable to be being Optimus Prime's armor ASCII and emerging market growth has helped propel grosses. Major still to open include France, Brazil, Mexico, Japan, and Spain. Bollywood champion Salman Khan's latest opened this weekend in India and some overseas market. The total left double as in India was 64 crore, factoring in a Monday's holiday. The total was $83.86 million crore. There are the figure. After the entertainment tax is scraped out. Time to be Eid holiday. Avish Khan is the king. The film was number one at the weekend, but has not received lavish praise of some of the earlier side. The Time India notes that he registered his second highest opening day of the year, behind only Bahubali 2, but did not see growth 22. The end of Ramjan holiday falls on different days each year, meaning release dates have varied only Khan's previous year picks. After Tubelight first they came in a below decent title like Sultan and Geek and the worldwide gross to Sunday and a Monday India number factored is 127 million crore, $19.1 million. It made $7.5 million in the US in the debut frame, but was bested by the dialogue bow JJ. Tubelight is set during the 1962 Sino-Indian Violent sees Han as a man from India who falls in love with a woman from China. It co-stars Chinese actor Zhou and is expected to be have a wide release in the Middle Kingdom. Warner Bros. Is Amazon Princess Isabel, another $21.7 million internationally. This film is 65 market that lived overseas total to be $335 million. The Garrett Star landed in Spain for the first time with a $2.2 million for number one and topping comp. In whole, WDO maintained number one spot in Brazil for the fourth consecutive weekend. The Cum Dare is a $27 million to become the third highest grossing the WB film of all time. China leads offshore play with $87 million as a run in its land. Brazil follows with the UK next at $24 million. Australia's total is currently $17.7 million and Korea has snapped $15.4 million. The last market to open will be Japan on August 25. Universal Tom Cruise star unhurted $17.9 million and 69 hub. This weekend to be raised the international total to $275.2 million worldwide. The Dark Universal peak is at $343 million as it was a new opener at number 1 with a 443K at 19 days. China's third week brought the film to be $89 million and Korea was number 3. In the third frame, for a $26 million total to be did. Brazil had number 2 in week 3 with $11.4 million so far. Japan gets on the action July 28 in its second weekend. Disney's Pixar Car 3 put for $12.6 million in the international tank from a handful of key markets, bringing the offshore cum to be $42 million worldwide. Lightning MC Queen has clocked $143 million. Australia opened this weekend pre-held this to rev up $2 million. The film also had a strong hold across Latin America, where it was again number 1 in Mexico with a cum of $12.1 million. It is currently the leader, followed by Russia with $8.6 million and Colombia with $2.4 million and Poland at $2.3 million. Still to join the race are France, Germany, Italy, Spain, UK, China, Japan, Korea, and Brazil. Paramount's Tiny Johnson starred South in another $11.2 million and 56 market display. The international cum is now $80.9 million France, where the old TV show is well known. Road of Bob number 1 with $2.6 million at 545 location. Incidentally, this came down some week the Pamela Anderson announced she is opening a pop-up restaurant in the State Drop, where she is a local fixture. However, cum included Germany at $13.3 million and Mexico with $5.6 million. In the fifth offshore frame, Disney's fifth pirate movie sale to be $9.5 million for a 519 international total to be did. Globally, the Johnny Starrer is at $697 million. In Europe, Belgium was up 8%, while France 6% and UK 14%. Illumination and Universal start Despicable Peak is playing in six markets, including Australia, ahead of the rest of the world to try in with the school holiday. The international weekend estimated for $6.6 million for a total of $18.6 million so far. There are very early days with the 64 markets still to open. Notably, China on July 7. India was the number 2 start behind Salman Khan's Blood with $1.8 million for the biggest illumination opening ever here. In week 2, Australia is holding at number 2. For an 11-day total of $7.8 million, the film is keeping pace with Despicable Me 2 and Minion. Other releases so far include Malaysia $2 million, Philippines $2.7 million, Singapore $2.7 million, and Thailand $1.3 million. Next weekend, the film opened in 44 territories along with the US and Canada. Everything $3.1 million Intel weekend 336 market, 8.6 Intel Q. Alien Government Fox $2.5 million Intel weekend 32 market, $154 million Intel Q. Beauty and the Beast is $2 million Intel weekend 10 market, 1.9 in Japan for $105 million to date, $723.2 million Intel Q. The Boss Baby Fox $1.5 to $15 million initial weekend. Michael Bay's Transformers The Last Night will indeed had lead the box office. This weekend with an estimated $69 million in total. Mind you, that's over a 5-day opening stretch, giving ample time for the franchise's fan base to see the movie at least once. If not two times, just for some contrast. Over a 3-day opening, the previous Transformers with the Age of Extinction made well over $100 million. Of course, as I discussed yesterday, it's likely the base latest take on robot in disguise will be saved, or given a few matches to be land on the very least, by the foreign box office where it has been a far bigger hit than it is here. This is also true of the Mummy and the latest Pirate of the Caribbean movie, both of which were endlessly savaged by critics and did not bring in the domestic audiences in any remarkable way. That is maybe the reason that I will have to be endure the unyielding marketing campaign of not one but several movies centered on a yellow cameo. Alien Report Who Can Now Speak is a sad state of affair. Then again, the rest of the field is not particularly enthralling. The big gut and the big stake. Two very good movies are doing admirable business, especially this weekend, but other than Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman, there is nothing in the top 5 that really inspires or is given a fresh take on old material. The closest would be All Eyes on Me, the bewilderingly bad Joe which will land in a fifth spot this weekend with $5.9 million behind a surprisingly 47 Matter Down with $7.4 million. For other movies attempt to be snow or darker, more even-handed look at the popper rapper. However, it rarely captured the thrill of his part, the fractious yet vibrant community, the sport of music and artists, or mostly importantly, his tumult inner life far away from the hallmark of his Wikipedia page, which would seemingly be the film's source material. The movie's success just makes me excited to see more film about hip hop or rap artists, or really any black artists in the mainstream. But it don't foresee studio laying any lesson. Wonder Woman, which had stayed in the second spot with $25.2 million, similarly showed off super a boatload of female-fronted and female-directed movies from the big studio. But it is no sign that this is still beyond a few exciting exceptions already in the production. Meanwhile, the fifth and largely unwanted Transformers movie, and the even more unnecessarily third car movie, which came in with $25 million to come in third place after a bit of dogfight with Wonder Woman, continue to make it easy to be just say re-up, and with next weekend bringing the Despicable Mystery. This does not look to be stopping anytime soon. Paramount Transformers The Last Night earned $5.5 million at the Tuesday box office, a solely starred 45th film in the Michael Bay CG heavy franchise. The Tuesday grosses in line with the $5.5 million that Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean. As expected, the Transformers The Last Night has denied Wonder Woman a fourth straight week at the top of the UK box office. Paramount's sequel ranked over the chart with a non-final $5.86 million debut from its 527 sites, including the 943,000 in previous. Its price on tally of the $4.92 million would also seen land at number 1. However, the last night recorded the lowest overall opening for the series to date by some distance, behind Transformers Revenge of the Violence $10.6 million from 516 side. Its Friday to Sunday taking are actually ahead of the Transformers Age of Extinction $4.73 million drop, as the film's overall debut of the $15 million was boosted by 6 days of previous. Age of Extinction went on to make $24 million in the UK, currently the lowest grossing counting of the series to date. But the last night will need to be held over to be we have a chance of even matching that. Also for Paramount's Bay which added for $11.3 million after 4 weeks in the play. Warner Bros. Latest DC outing has no less $24 million, surprising Batman Begins, and has already outgrossed early Marvel films like Iron Man and Thor. In Captain America: The Winter Soldier, soon to overtaken. The Mummy fell 35% on its way to be a 17,000 third weekend as it dropped to third. Universal's reboot is now up to be $9.63 million and will struggle to hit $12 million and UK start to be Universal's attempt to dog Universal series. Also for Fox, My Cousins Rachel added it to 11,000 $2.46 million while KFT tell 40% excluding previous. On its way to $193 million second weekend, The Boss Baby and Alien stand at $36.2 million, $28.29 million, and $16.4 million, $12.88 million respectively, marking its fifth anniversary. The release of the Graduate posted a UK debut of $37,000 from its 28th site. In its second weekend, Dog of the Whitney Cannabis Mean took out $29,000 from its 30th site, 190,000 to date. Season in the Quincy for Portrait of Iron Burger. A long-term Hollywood cast now managed to become up top at the box office this weekend, but with a greatly diminished return when compared to its predecessor. Since the last night looked to be a non-starter in the US, Paramount is going to have a hope for a strong showing internationally. Fortunately for the studio, that it looks to be just what they got, as a globe total $265 million so far. Transformers 5, the latest movie to be demonstrate the power of the international marketplace, as I figure account for the film's massive $217 million production budget. There is obviously still some way to go before it turns a profit, but it's a strong start. Paramount is looking to use The Last Night as a springboard for previous spin-off and sequel, so they need this film to be solid business over the course of its run. Falling to second its last weekend, Jump, which brought in the $25 million, the latest from Pixar, is now up to be $99.38 million and should start to be see its number go down a heavy impending arrival of Despicable Me 3 next weekend. Enter this Wonder Woman with a $25.1 million DC newest blockbuster continues to hold well, riding high after earning intimidating review from fan and critic. Its domestic total is currently $13.3 million, and it looks like it only a matter of time before it becomes the highest grossing installment in the shared Universal subsidiary. Coming in fourth is 47 Dawn with $7.4 million in its second weekend. The Shark Attack film raised its stateside total to $24.2 million, rounding out to be top 5 with All Eyes on Me. The biopic which did not generate the best reception upon its release, jumped at $79 million in the second weekend and brought in the $5.8 million. Clearly, the negative word of mouth did not do the film any favor, and its overall appeal was greatly limited. It has now made $38.6 million in the US, in sixth in the Mummy with the $5.8 million. Universal's Kickstarter to be their Dark Universal that struggled throughout its run and did now stand at just $68.5 million domestically. The seventh film is Pirate of the Caribbean Dead Man Tell No Tale. Jack Sparrow fifth adventure grossed $5.2 million in its weekend and has made $160 million in the state. Coming in eighth in of Night, the comedy made $4.7 million over the weekend, increasing its domestic total to $16.6 million. Captain Underpants, the first epic movie in the nine, with a $4.2 million animated family film, now stand at $65.7 million. Capping off the top 10 is a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Marvel's latest hit made $3 million in its eighth weekend to be raised domestic total to $380 million. These are only weekend box office estimates based on Friday and Saturday ticket sale, coupled with adjusted expectation for Sunday. Official weekend box office result will be released on Monday, June 26, at which time we will update this board with any changes. In chart is Wonder Woman with a $25.1 million DC's newest blockbuster continue to hold while writing. A long-time Hollywood cast now managed to come out on top at the box office this weekend, but with greatly diminished return when compared to its predecessor. Since the last night looked to be a non-starter in the US, Paramount is going to have to hope for a strong showing internationally. Fortunately for the studio, that looked to be just what they go, as the global total is to $65 million so far. Transformers 5 is the latest movie to be demonstrated the power of the international marketplace as that figure count for the film's massive $17 million production budget. There is obviously still some way to go before turn before profit, but this is the strong start. Paramount is looking to use the last night as a springboard for various spin-off and sequel, so they need this film to be solid business over the course of its run. Transformers The Last Night opened and closed with its shows. The first scene featured bodies flying everywhere as flames blazed the sky in Michael Bay. The beginning of the red night of the round table in which Merlin magic is a gift from the alien robot so many know and love. The last scene, and this is no spoiler if you have ever seen a Michael Bay movie, feature bodies flying everywhere as metal and flame pierce the sky. In between there is a bit of mythology, some running and screaming or a tone of slow-mo. A dash of racism. A great actor wasted in a character who could have been named exposition dump. And so much incoherent noise that you will want to be bang your head on the seat in front of you just to get some rest. After two sequels that took the fun spirit of the Transformers and turned them into the something with the artistic depth of a monster's energy drink, they appear to be a reward a franchise with a relatively solid age of extinction. He found one of our most charismatic leading men in Mark Wahlberg, gave him an awesomely perfect name like Gad Yeager, fired out a better than average sporting cast, and provided immersive set pieces across the world, including the leveling about more destruction of Chicago, suffered from Bay Blood and some of the other technical problems of the previous sequel, but it offered hope. Hope that during Transformers The Last Night, from the very beginning, this is an incoherent mess. Cat's daughter and her boyfriend, both memorable characters from the last film, are gone. The daughter returned off with a couple of manipulative debates about her being at college and Yeager being on her own. He can save the world about, but he can't see his daughter. Whatever fine, but also gone as sanely other than a brief cameo as Merlin in the opening scene. And Kelsey Grammer, the villain of the first film, are replaced here by a purely an interstellar being who wants to be used the home planet of the Transformers to destroy Earth by basically crushing them into one another. She is such a cartoonishly poorly designed villain that she never feels like a real threat. I am getting ahead of myself. The Last Night picks up relatively where the last film left off. Optimus Prime is headed back to his home planet to tell the universe to leave Earth alone. He is now in the hiding, so being as massive alien robot is still against international law, and he is still aligned with the remaining Autobot. He is in hiding in the biggest auto field in the Midwest. But those kind of the logical leaps are easy to let slide in a summer blockbuster when it's working. He has a new assistant, is working with Johnny repairing Bumblebee, and gets a spunky preteen sidekick who feels like the character's sitcom used to be ad late in the runaway everyone know the original kids got to be old. Think Sam and the friend stroke, and done pretty much all of the set up, including any sort of the imagination. Analogy about the fear of foreigner represented by the hunted transformer is thrown out. There is a point in the script when you can literally tell when it was handed to be so different writing crew. It starts as one movie and then bizarrely takes a hard right turn to being land and becomes something else entirely. You see, Yeager found a talisman and a drawing transformer, and a relic that is relied to him to belong and storage history of the alien. As these films have grown in a budget, they have spiraled on more and more mythology. And I think the reason this is as bad as a final chapter is because there is literally nowhere else to go. Through remarkably expository scene courtesy of Sir Anthony Hopkins and Johann, we learn that people have known about the Transformer for centuries and that notable geniuses like Mozart and FDR helped keep their existence a secret. In return, the robot gave the human race gift, including the Transformer was to kill Hitler. No, I am not making that up. Weaving the mythology of this killer car into world history is not a bad idea, and reflect the tone in the cheek player these movies could have been. I would watch the heck out of the Bumblebee versus the Third Bridge, but it's also tinily and poorly handled here. Before you can truly enjoy it, we are back with a revelation that God now has a connection with the Transformers because of the talisman and because of one another no other nonsense. I could not begin to be explained, and his new gorgeous friend Vivian is the only one who can wield Merlin's staff, necessarily skilled to save the art. You are saying, how could a movie that weaves together Metal Dragon, Merlin's staff, Sir Anthony Hopkins, and world-killing alien be all that bad? Because it's just not just fun, more than any film Bay has made. The Last Night is incoherent to the point of parody. Action scenes are poorly choreographed, dialogue is weaker than ever, and plot twists make no sense. At one point, the leads are only submarine, and I could not for the life of me tell you why. Not only is transparent that no one involved bothered with me plot. Wahlberg has never given such a lazy performances as he does here, but the editing and effect are stunningly shoddy. There is no Geoffrey to any of the scene, so you can't tell what the heck is happening. At least the last film had a few action set pieces that worked, and the third film had the destruction of Chicago to wow viewer. This film does not have a single memorable action sequences in it, and it starts at such a ridiculous pitch that it has no way to go. Yeager is a reintroduced shooting robot in slow motion. Bay has always been willing to be for a good thing like rising action or building tension to try and blast your to their seat from first frame to the last. Here's where the critics forum franchises kicks in. Michael Bay made this for fan of the franchise and not be notoriously hard on the critics. Will ignore that I like the first film and part of the third and fourth film. I get it. We love to forgive the failure of franchise we adore. Even critics do that. But even fans of this series have to take a hard look at the outright shocking laziness of this movie, one that does the bare minimum to get birds in seat. Even in bad action movies, there is often a glimpse of artistic potential gone away or attempt to be entertained that just did not work. I began to actively try to find that here, to find a way to see how this went to real. I came to be recollection that no one cared. There is just so little effort to make sense or make it interesting. Even for the fan, it was a contractual obligation and paycheck. They could have called it Transformers someone near the new beach house. Directed by Michael Bay, Transformers The Last Night follows a human as he hires away from the government with a Autobot. This movie takes place sometime after Transformers, Age of Extinction, and Transformers, and humans are at odds again because Transformers are still landing on Earth without anyone knowing where. The government set up a response team called the Transformer. The action force that hunt down and kills Transformer only this time. Optimus Prime is gone. The absence of Optimus Prime leaves Autobot leaderless and unable to be respond to the threat of the Transformer reaction force until they are forced back into reaction when a mysterious enemy threatens Earth. In the opening scene, it is revealed to be that human and Transformer have been in contact for centuries. The concept of Transformers adding King Archer is a silly, but cool one. I for one bought into the story element, but the way it plays out later never really satisfies my expectation. For a hidden secret of the Transformers universe, Transformer. The Last Night is a movie jam-packed with a character, without any actual character. What I mean by that is, most of characters are flat, have no development throughout the film, and I never really care about them by the time the credit roll. Let's start with Optimus Prime, the head honcho of the Autobot. He was gone for the most of the movie and gets turned evil by Transformers Sorcerer. Under high evil influences, he fired fan favorite Bumblebee. As this was a fight I looked forward to because of trailer. I felt underwhelmed. The fight does not last as long and does not hold as much emotional meaning as I wanted. It ends in a cheap, dissatisfying way that felt like a Deox as Miss McKenna. Where Optimus Prime eventually does become good. Again, this was expected. His heroic moment feel forced and never have anywhere to them. Bumblebee is the most likable Transformer and makes me look forward to the Bumblebee spin-off that's set to be released in a few years. Megatron is supposed to be the big boss of the reception, but I have not felt a very impactful presence from him since the first film in the franchise. Once again, he feels like a second-rate lackey with no much of a real purpose, other than to be a bad guy that the good guys shoot at. There were also instances where other Transformers were jammed into the movie for the sole purpose of selling toys. I do like the introduction of the Quintessa and the general Transformer. Myths the filmmakers were trying to be built, but it never fully brought into the way it was executed. Care Jigger's character is supposed to be the noble, cool fodder that is a good moral compass and a story lead the audience to believe he is meant to be have some greater purpose in the movie. However, an emotional moment or character development Kate was supposed to have were botched by silly dialogue and unfunny one-liner. In general, the humor is either hit or miss. One could feel the notion that if filmmakers try to force as much humor onto as they can, often sacrificing storytelling for a laugh. Isabella Moner plays a younger girl caught in the middle of the human Transformers war and almost acts as a foster daughter to Mark Wahlberg's character. Moner's character is brave, smart, and unusualized. She appears at the beginning of the movie, then appears for a good eternity, and shows up at the end having absolutely zero presence and zero impact on the film. This contrast of marketing in which her character is used heavily and even featured in her own TV spot. While there was great potential for her character, she fell flat and became a missed opportunity. You could take her out of the movie and there would not be any consequences because of it. Plays women professors at the University of the Oxford that is important to the story, and Meteor's arrival reveal how the lineage should be grand and cool, but just feels bland. I feel the filmmakers did not know how to use her or know what to do with her. And Johnny Hopkins as Sir Edmund Burton is a fun addition to the film. Off the wall and a little bizarre, he is a likable character, and I get the scenes Hopkins and fun playing this role. Even this is an action movie. It felt like there were just mindless explosions with humans and Transformers fighting for nothing. When the huge battle at the end happened, I was not sure where these new enemies came from. While the movie is a usual spectacle, it also felt like there was just too much visual noise. The movie is in general is too much of everything, over the top, action, force, humor, too many characters. Tone of Michael's Bay explosion at the same time. It's an empty movie with no character development, no substance, and no story. However, this is not anything new because it sticks to the Transformers formula we have been getting for the past 10 years. Michael Bay has openly said this is his last Transformer movie, and I really hope it is. He has directed 5 out of them, which most are mediocre to that. I find him to be a talented director with movies such as Bad Boy and Pain and Gain under his belt, but he really needs to be moved on from the franchise. It has been 10 years since the debut of the first Transformers, but the film franchise has gotten better since then. I hope this franchise transforms into something else because it would be a waste hashing out these bad Transformer movies when there is no much potential with all the lore behind it. If you are a fan of the Transformers movie, I would say this is because it sticks to be some formula. If you are not a fan of my friend Transformers movie and might be interested in seeing this, I would invite you to say at home or watch the movie at a big theater. Most of us are familiar with a Michael's Bay's filmmaking style by now. The frantic editing, the camera that won't keep still, the gorgeous permanent sunset lighting, it's all about is subtle as an A-rated strain. With Transformers The Last Night, however, Bay's brand of the maximalist action blockbuster seems to have curdled into self-parody. His fifth film in the transforming Alien Robot franchise is so loud and confusing that it almost defies description. Nevertheless, a year later, we must try. Imagine it this way: you have had a long, tiring day at work, and you decided to go to the pub for a relaxing beer. All the better to unwind and forget about the world of a couple of hours. But once inside, the whole establishment erupts into a dervish of violence. There's a glass and beer flying everywhere. Tables are turned over. Chairs are thrown. A man behind the bar screams at one unbearable volume. A dog tied to a bar stool barks ceaselessly. The lights on the fruit machine are flashing. Uncontrollably, there is a bin on fire. The plot takes in a legend and alternate history where the boat fought Nazis in World War II, and Anthony Hopkins yelling in a submarine. An ancient staff once held by the wizard Merlin, played in a flashback sequences by Stanley, with a rubber nose and a dead fox on his shoulder, becomes the target of an evil robot which from the planet Sabaton, who implies the erstwhile leader of the Autobot, Optimus Prime to retrieve it once again. Earth's in danger and only caretaker looking Mark can save us. Well, him and his growing band of friends, among them a 14-year-old tomboy, Isabela and her rude sidekick, an upper-class British academic named Vivian, Anthony Hopkins as a knighted historian, and the ever-present heroic Autobot. Beyond that, the film's events are hardly worth summing up. Generic US soldier is now part of the Defense Force stars with hunting down robot. But then they make a deal with evil deception. Megatron to help retrieve that mystical stuff everywhere else is after. There are baffling shift of the aliens on the part of the robot. Most of the film is shot with close-up on the handheld camera, which in 3D IMAX create a nausea, inducing a fire which state and failing robot mind. What's curious about The Last Night is that it was built for a while as something of a soft robot for the long-running series. Isabella and her rather charmlessly robot sidekick, Squeak were, we assumed, an attempt to be address the purple male gaze of Bay's previous Transformer film. Instead, Isabella feels like a character thrown in at the recommendation of focus group's research. Star Wars The Force Awakens had a plucky heroine and a robot friend. So why can't that's pretty popular? Why don't we throw in some magic and fantasy into the mix while we are at it? It's difficult to think of another film in recent memory where the directors and writer have displayed such nice cynicism. Yes, the VFX and sound coordination is still spectacular, as we would expect from a film of this scale. But the storyline, overseeing all those expensive stunts and computer graphics would not give a flying carrot about whether or not the plot makes sense or whether the audience is suspend this disbelief. One remote character is even described as a C-3PO ripoff, a gag which might inadvertently gave him the level base working at here, and Isabella and her poor red report, and mythology and Vivian, who especially Lara Croft out of the Tomb Raider. There are all garnished around the edge of what is essentially the same stuff Michael's Bay has been padding in these Transformer films for the past decade. Robot punch, stab, and shoot each other while growing dramatic sounding, yet meaninglessly phrase, I am torn of churning, twisted metal fell from the sky, and yet more world momentum are sacrificed on base blazing CJ altar. The human characters such as they are simply exist to give a sense of scale to the huge that machine. Irony literally found in his performances while on holiday in Cuba. And Tony Hopkins is on hand to be deliver lots of exposition. More than one famous transformer simply vanishes without explanation on a fanfare. A long-term fan of the original G1 animated movie and TV shows should probably look away in the last night groan-inducing second half. The world is always on the cusp of the destruction in Michael Bay Transformers film, but the last night appeared to be represent a worrying new pause. After a while, the film's familiar images began to flow into one another until Ada's left is a tail, an orange smear, which jitters and dances meaninglessly. There are noises and words, but they devolve into a non-essential store. Like an old television with a broken aerial, gaze into the Optimus Prime's purple eye, and you might just glimpse something profoundly terrifying. The summer blockbuster stretched past breaking point. Beyond its last nothing, no emotion, no meaning, just a computer-generated void. The end, perhaps, of Sandman itself. Transformers: The Last Night is a Transformer film. There have been five of these now. So you know what that means. Director Michael Bay has helmed for all of them. So you know what you are getting. The Last Night hold no surprise. It is product, designed to be a sell toys, keep an epic, and allow Bay to be played with a big budget. Consideration for the audiences is secondary. It's rare to see such action, disdain for character, and storytelling, but that's what you get with a Transformer movie. And the last night is so different. The question of the race is in so many ways and the why, and it's not just a why pretending to be numerous plot, shortcut character, decision, and everything else that take place in the last night. The last night surprisingly began on a promising note as Bay Gatsby changed it up a bit, relishing the opportunity to do medieval battle scene after before falling Merlin, having a ball and making the most of this role. As always, Joe discovered that the Transformers have been around on Earth and makes a deal with them to be help King Arthur and his knight. Cut forward 1600 years and Optimus Prime is searching for his maker. When he arrives on his home planet Cybertron, he is put under the spell of the evil Quintessa and told that he must destroy Earth in order of the Cybertron to live. Then he drops out of the movie for a large chunk of the runtime as we follow Cat Yeager, who come into contact with an ancient talisman that puts him on the radar of the eccentric Sir Edmund Burton. Burton also needs Oxford professor Vivian Wembley in order to be find Merlin stop that will stop the incoming Cybertron for destroying Earth. And there's also military forces called the TRF whose job is to stop Transformer. And they keep popping up when the story calls for them to show up. There's a lot of plot, a lot of moving forwards, ostensibly a story about giant alien robot fighting other giant alien robot. While most filmmakers go for economy of storytelling, Bay's also always and more. When Del Scarda, Bumblebee fought in World War II, it's not enough to be just an era-appropriate poster on a picture. A Bumblebee to convey that a Transformer was fighting Nazis. No, we need an entire scene of the Bumblebee killing Nazis. The Last Night is a rare film that gives you more information than you need, and still end up a confusing mess. Bay never misses an opportunity to load up his film with unnecessarily junk as simply padding the already excessive runtime. somehow gives a movie an epic score. What's frustrating is that Transformers movies don't have to be bad. Yes, giant alien robot coming to be Earth and fighting other giant alien robot is a silly concept. But that does not mean the movie has to be insulting, dumb, or painfully tedious. In the hand of a director who cared more about storytelling than film setting, a shot of just taking off from a crowd carries. The Transformers franchise could make you care about Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and the human Jake encounter. There is nothing that says because a film has a bombastic action, it must therefore drown in exposition and dull character. Some may argue that criticizing Transformers movies are like shouting at a brick wall. We all know what their movies are, and Transformers. The Lost Night will likely make $1 billion worldwide, but that assumes that a critic's job is to be a consumer report with no concern greater than stuttering an honest toward a product. Personally, I don't care who does and the see Transformer. Although I will continually be bewildered as to why people choose to see the last night when there are better options readily available. Instead to find any redeeming aspect in the last night, you have to look beyond that the film is and instead at what it could have been in the hand of a filmmaker who was more invested in storytelling than exposure. Transformers are surprisingly an immigrant story of a time when immigration is a hot button issue. There are good Transformers and bad Transformers, but the government's approach is to treat all Transformers as a threat. Considering that even the good ones seem to believe a trail of destruction in their wake, with a more nuanced approach that could have been a rewarding subtext. But we would rather have Hopkins done on for 15 minutes about how Vivian is the rest of the line descended from Merlin. I am a bit preferred as to why Bay would even bother coming back for a fifth go round. He clearly has never really cared about much beyond the technical opportunities these films provide him. But now Transformers is firmly his legacy, no matter what he does for the rest of his career. While fans may point to be the success of the Rock in the bad shade, lunacy of the Bad Boys too, most people will know him as a Transformers guy, and it won't be a compliment. He's been making these movies for 10 years and has not devised a single memorable character or moment. It's multiplex fire, designed to make a boat lad a funny for Hasbro, Paramount and Bear, but rewarding to no one else. And maybe we will gladly say that they did it for the money, but there are better ways to be earned in income. Hell, there are better ways to be sell toy. I loved Transformers the last night feeling exhausted and confused, while I am sure other critics will speak about the incoherent mess. It feels pointless to be do so. The tragic inevitability of these movies is what's most crushing, which is why I feel like it's time to be moved past them. The best thing that can happen to the Transformers franchise at this point is to ditch everything they built. The last night has a dumb distinguisher that indicates where we would like the series to go. My wife and I have this little stiff whenever we go to the store. I like to grab the brand name item of the shelf because names are important and they bring a level of quality to be them. My wife prefers to be grabbed off brand because it's the same thing that with a different label. Time and time again we go back and forth in this until she brought enough for brand mouthwash after a few days of using it. I went in for my obligatory kiss goodbye, and the next thing she says is that she's going to be sorry of my usual mouthwash. In my mind, that's why things are supposed to be go. So loyalty a brand and they pay you back to be doing that it promises. Names mean something and should have been respected, they will return the respected in kind. Human and Transformers are at war, the same war they have been in since the beginning of the series. Only this time no Transformers is safe, unless they are part of the core group. Optimus Prime is gone, yep gone. Remember how he flew into space at the end of the last movie? Well, something went wrong and he's just floating through space like a rock. You were like you flew off into the space on his own, he would have had an idea of how to do it for the long run. I've taken one of the many spaceships Transformers seem to be need to be get around. The key to saving her future lies buried in the aspect secret of the past, and they mean the dark ages. We know this because they tell you at great length about a hidden history of Transformers on Earth. On top of all that, we learn that Sam Witwicky from the first few movies actually gets his surname from an order of the Witwickian, whom are charged with protecting the Transformers' secret. No, it's Lake of the Imagination King Arthur and Merlin worked with Transformer Knight. When in the Dark Ages we just covered this. Cybertron, which turned out was not destroyed as we thought in the last few movie, is back with a vengeance and Unicorn is what you least expect it to be. Sound like a lot, right? It's sure it. I come flying at you faster than our suit 3D sites Gaga. Her dog joined us outing as Vivian Wembley. And surprise, she is not a visual Victoria's Secret or guest. Model hired of a runaway somewhere and is thrown in front of a camera. Heather can get now to be moved on camera, and made me really wish they gave her a lot more to do so, as her charm and command were high. Isabella Moner plays Isabella Biggs the Treasurer, like the set, and extra eye. Will prove she was not an afterthought, an orphan for a teen-year old girl who wanted to be fired deception, Decepticon to be avenged her parents. Surprisingly, Isabella was really one of the brightest parts of the movie. You buy her pain. She has a great attitude. She is strong, but ultimately it's another missed opportunity to build something greater. The actor makes a role she just was not utilized enough in the story. Now finally on to Sarah Anthony Hopkins. Who does he owe money to? Why is he here? Is he at a stage in his career when he just wants to be safe fun and her insult with a playful abandon? These are all important questions to be asked as it's not no usual job. It's a good thing we have him in a movie as it's good source of comedy. And if you miss something, he will surely narrate it for you. Hopkins is a lot of exposition. Now it's time for me to be remind everyone that it is a Transformer movie. I am reminding everyone because you will forget about halfway through the movie when you realize you have spent a lot of time with Gad Easy, the military Vivian, so on and so forth. Throughout the movie, people keeping asking where the Optimus or proclaiming Optimus will be here. And all I want you to do is yell back. When damn it, I have seen sitting here for 2 hours. It's silly to me that if Transformers are nothing more the props or background set dressing. It's their movie. Tell their story. That Transformers and static is one of the few things these few movies seem to do right with a few expeditions. Each one of the models used for Autobot and Deception will just work out brilliant out. Minor gripple would be that the animal-based transformer should seem more like metallic version of the animal they represent, and less like a twisted wire they are supposed to be in a disguise after all. The Last Night is a perfect example of what happens when you choose style over substance. It does not trust its audiences, it moves too fast to give your actor a chance to do their job. And it forget who the star of the movie should really be something else in evident. We clearly have a creative team, led by Michael Bay, who just want to use the name and look of Transformer and mold their own thing from it. In theory, that is not a bad thing to do, but in practice, we have yet to see much in pop culture succeeds in doing that. The key to saving our future lies buried in the secret of the past, and they mean the dark ages. We know this because I tell you at great length about a hidden history of Transformers on Earth. On top of all of that, we learn that same Witwicky from the first few movies actually gets his surname from an order of Witwickians whom are charged with protecting the Transformer secret. No, it's a lake of imagination King Arthur and Merlin worked with the Transformer Knight when in the Dark Ages. We just covered his Cybertron, which turned out was not destroyed as we thought in the last few movies, is back with the vegans, and Unicorn is what you least expect to be. Sound like a lot, right? It shot it and it began flying at you faster than our 3D sidekicks. It's hard to judge the performances in that Transformer the last night, as there is so much story being told and the pacing is out of control. But I will try. Mark Wahlberg reprised his role as Cat Yeager, a failed inventor from Texas who has not been with a woman in a while. It's part of the story, so yes, it's a matter. Wahlberg does not have a lot to do in this, but he sure does look good doing action stuff. He has a charm working every time for him, and he reads his line with emotion. There is a lot more you can ask for the guy. Dora Haddock joined us in the outing as Vivian Wembley, and surprised he is now the usual Victoria's Secret or guest model hired of a runaway somewhere and thrown in front of a camera. Haddock can act know how to make one camera, and made me really wish they gave her a lot more to do so. Her charm and command were high. Isabella Moner and the extra will proved she was not a afterthought, an orphan 14-year-old girl who wanted to be fired deception to avenge her parent. Surprisingly, Isabella was really one of the brightest parts of the movie. Transformers and Last Night has placed on unspecified amount of time after Transformer. Age of Extinction likely won't, and we see Optimus Prime frozen floating around in space, struggling in his search for his maker. Sir Edmund Burton in our narrator, then the character that takes on this journey throughout the history of the Transformer. Turned out to have been here the whole time we have, even getting involved in a World War II apparently Bumblebee. How to feed a Nazis, so yeah. I almost forget the story of foxes around Merlin's sword. The sword was given to him by Transformers and allow him to be control order transformer that can combine into a dragon. Merlin is played by Stanley Tucci, who was in the previous film as a completely different character. This iteration of Merlin is drunk who promises to give up all of his bad ways for the Transformers' help, but not a woman. He could never give up the woman. One of the caretakers, Mark Wahlberg, first line in this film is to be threatened a 13-year-old by saying, "Have you ever been punched in the face really hard?" It's absolutely hilarious, not in a good way. It's also one of the only one line I remember from the film. Honestly, there are about 3 or 4 different plot points that are merged together in this film. All are so incoherent and so pointless. We see pop up numerous times, but I really can't understand why. Something about getting Button to induct him into something. I do know built his attire on the phone from Cuba, along with one of the Autobots from Dark Afternoon. How I feel about a previous Transformer film goes as follows. Transformers 2007. Great, one of my favorite film ever. Transformers Remains of the Fallen 2009, but enough robot action to make me happy enough watching it again. Transformers Dark of the Moon 2011. Good but too much Winnie Woman stuff thought. Transformers Age of Extinction 2014 bad way. Too much human nonsense. I was willing to give the last night the benefit of the doubt. I really hoped people were overreacting. I thought there would be at least enough robot fighting with Optimus being bad to make this film cool. The Optimus Bumblebee fight, the biggest selling point of this movie, lasted 30 seconds and ends when Bumblebee talks, causing Optimus to get all nostalgic and become good again. Despite the fact that earlier in the film we see Yeager and Isabela try and fail to be fixed Bumblebee voice boxes. Also, Bumblebee can magically put himself back together, and that is never explained. There is an Optimus Megatron fight that lasts 10 seconds at most. Heart Rod looks cool and has a cool weapon that annoyingly over advertises every time. I stop Z them, but he is barely in the film. Drift and Crosshair are 2 interesting characters. They team out to be taken down and take on, which look good, but that is part the rest of the film. But the most annoying part but by fairies are linked almost directly today. Transformers getting next to the screen time. At the time of the day, a Transformers film should be fun, with at least 15 minutes of silly robot fight. You should want to be watch these films for their action and CGI. The previous films have never been stated terrifically well, but it's hard to be argued they don't contain these things. There is no possible chance of giving the film the benefit of the doubt. The plot is stupid. The script is nonsense. There is no fighting. The hype was unfair, and I feel sorry for die-hard fans of the animated series. I actually spent a good chunk of the film trying to figure out whether I should be offended by the blatant stereotyping of English. The answer being no. No one should care what this film says or influences. No incentive to be rewatched this film is a given. Something needs to be changed for the apparent future film that is somehow being greenlit, even if it's a terrible film. The least they could do so is, actually center is around the Transformers. I am sure I will get crap for it, but I actually like the Transformers movies. I know they are bad movies, with the exception of the first one. But they are enjoyable to watch. I only watch them for the transforming robot fight, and that's it. They are my guilty prayer. I know they are bad, but I can't help but enjoy them for what they are. Now for the latest movie of the infamous franchise. Will this one be the one that will finally be good one? That many hope for will be just another CGI action shock. If I have to be honest, it's just another CGI action movie. But what do we expect? I mean, come on, nobody is expecting these movies to be award winner by any means. They are just action player for the guy. Sometimes we just put in if we want to be seen entertained after a millions of stressful day. I think the reason why all of these movies have such bad review from so many people is most likely with the comedy. And I put it lightly. The comedy that you have in those movies, like what a 10-year-old would put in. Same goes with this one. It's pretty much the same movie. If put all five of them end to end, you won't see much of this difference. Parting the events of the Transformers Age of Extinction, Optimus Prime, Patrick Cullen is still off in space, having set out in search of this Cybertron creature. Meanwhile, the Autobot Bumblebee included remain fugitive on Earth, along with their current human ally. The inventor scared Yeager, upon helping a group of kids who had inadvertently crossed paths with the Transformers Reaction Force, a global human organization that is dedicated to be hunting and destroying Transformers of any affiliation. Cass ends up talking in Isabela, a young girl who has orphaned back during the Battle of Chicago. In the process of doing so, Carrie crosses paths with an ancient, dying Transformer who then gives him a mysterious talisman. It turned out that talisman has tried to be not only the Transformers' secret history on Earth over the ages, as Kate learned from the astronomer and a historian, Sir Edmund Burton, the member of society tasked with protecting those secrets, but the destinies of both Kate and one Vivian Wembley, a professor at the University of Oxford. When Cybertron itself then mysteriously began to approach on that, sprang the TRF to be strike a bad game with a Megatron, an exception to be protect our world. It also gave his Autobot friend to find a legendary technology that can save the planet, humanity, and the Transformers kind alike first. While Transformers The Last Night is a fifth addition to the live-action Transformer movie franchise overall, as well as a fifth and supposedly final one directed by Michael Bay. It is the first installment to be plotted out by members of the Transformer writing group that was assembled by Paramount Pictures back in 2015. The main goal of said writer group was to expand the Transformer movie franchise into the full-blown cinematic universe, with The Last Night serving as a both an entertaining continuation of the previous film and an intriguing launching board for future Transformers sequel and its spin-off. Sorry to say, The Last Night is not all that successful at being either of those things. Transformers The Last Night has a deeper mythos and bigger spectacle than its predecessor. Yes, the land up being mostly hollow, and The Last Night, if nothing else, is a pure Michael Bay production from a technical perspective. In the sense that is a prioritized repair editing, explosion-fueled sequences and flashy set pieces, our coherent action-driven storytelling. Working with a John Wick cinematographer Jonathan Sela does bring a proper sense of grand blockbuster scale to The Last Night with his camera, angle and shot choices, as well as dynamic sensibility to the proceeding in a genre. Problem is the base image 3D usual style has not evolved much since his effort on the third Transformer movie. Dark of the Moon and The Last Night technical flourishes come off as more derivative than engaging in turn. The Last Night may feature more shiny, computer-animated transformers and stop spectacle than its predecessor, but they seem to be out of fresh idea for what to do with his franchise from an action filmmaking perspective. Given the unique setting of the movie's third act, and associated scare-inspired introduction to this discussion, want to do so much to level up the otherwise by the number of Transformer battles on display. Screenwriters Matt Holloway and R. McCune, working alongside Ken Newland, Black Hawk from a second story by Aqua Goldsman. The television series Insurgent stick closely to the Transformers movie narrative formula, but basically work for it last night. Night don't be including an easy to be identify McGavin here. Merlin sought to be drive the story forward. The working team does manage to be fit a good outward building, setting up the Transformers cinematic universe in this process in today. Otherwise, a conventional three-act narrative here, without slowing things down in the term of the story flow. Problem is because so much more time is spent on expanding the franchise mythology and calling back to the event of the previous Transformer movie. The Last Night failed to be provide most of the human player with just basic arc, something that even the prior installment were able to be do. As for the central story thread in The Last Night, they are somewhat incomprehensible riddled with plot holes that are simply too large to be ignored and carry half-formed political overtone. But there's power for the course of the Transformers franchise at this point. Also, for the course of the Transformers movies are frequent cloud humor and a human character who are more cartoonish stereotype than the three-dimensional individual. The Last Night does not change course in this respect either, giving rise to a number of unseemly tonal shift and the over-the-top comedy scenario that clash with the movie's effort to be integrate more emotional plot-based and substantial character. Correction due to the proceeding here, Mark Wahlberg caretaker shared the spotlight with the two lead here, are a romantic interest in the headache Vivian family. The other replacement daughter is Isabela Moner's Isabela, but his relationship with his board character fall flat due to the lack of both on-screen development and chemistry between the actor. Even more so than the humans from Transformers moves past, the heroes in The Last Night are one-note player who spend more time running and shooting exposure and interacting in the meaningful way. The Last Night features appearances by a handful of familiar faces from Transformers movies past. The special games tend to be feel super flawed to be movie and seem to be exist to better make the Transformers franchise feels like a universe more than anything. The most noteworthy newcomer while here include as Gears had help Jamie as well as Anthony Hopkins as Sir Edmund Burton and his Transformers protector. It's not playing a stock comic relief type here, but there is a fun to be had in watching the Oscar-winning Hopkins Goofball Looney Tune mode in The Last Night. Burton gets later more to do than provide exposition. Dumb Silas Weir crack joke, but Hopkins seems to be enjoying himself in the role. As for Corkman, like the various returning out board, deception and the Dan board, In the last night, he is a Xeni CJ character in the live-action world that tend to be getting to listen to more than anything else. In terms of the Michael Bay, directed by Transformers movie, The Last Night is neither a solid popcorn movie than the first and third installment, arguably are, nor is it quite as messy and slapdash as the second and fourth chapter Revenge of the Fallen and Age of the Extinction, respectively. If anything, the biggest issue with The Last Night is that it fails to leave as strong as impression, either good or bad as based on the Transformers movie have before it. Despite being overserved with the mythology and big budget firework, fans of the base genre approach to the Transformers franchise will naturally get the most action out of the fifth chapter, but even some of the characters die-hard supporter may find themselves left feeling bored and dumb by the last night. Suffice it to say, it's for the best day phase of stepping away from the franchise at last. Transformer The Last Night is now playing in US theater. It's a 149-minute long and is rated PG-13 for violence and intense sequences of sci-fi action language. And some I want to be talk about this film without spoiling it for editor. Just like the rest of the series, Michael Bay, fifth Transformers film seems isn't and simply what it to do. And just like the rest, it strives to be proper Transformer into the human history and legend, almost to the point where it seems like art belongs more to these big old car with a faces than to us. This time around it's King Arthur and where we see the Merlin, played by a particularly silly Stanley Tucci, was given a magic staff by a transformer and that staff is now the key to saving the Transformers home planet after Sabaton. If that sounds familiar, it's because that same idea is literally what happened in almost every single Transformer movie to date. In the first image was a dusty pair of glasses that had a key to be saving Cybertron and now it's a big stick. It was a flimsy excuse for a plot as a tired and flimsy now. Mark Wahlberg is a bag scared Jaeger and spent the entire film looking totally confused by every situation it's presented with. He is helped by Haddock Oxford University professor Vivian Wembley who had some more air of the smart transformer movies leading lady. One of the serial highlights is Anthony Hopkins babbling on about a robot as historian and Sir Edmund Burton. Hearing on Oscar-winning actor, an actual British knight talking in depth about was genuinely quite funny. Whether intentional or not, this is held by his robot butler sidekick, Cogman, brought to life by the Jim I would prepare. Wahlberg and his friend end up embroiled in the plot to find Merlin, soft and watching to help them. Arthur restore Sabaton to its former glory. This time they are not only up against the deception, as Bay has added another group of the antagonists into the mix in the form of the government-led Transformers Section Force. These mercenaries are tasked with riding the world of all Transformers but serve as a slight bump in the road of the Wahlberg and Ghost Seek finding mission. Similarly, Optimus Prime's turn to the dark side that has been teased in multiple trailer plays out as second and as pointless as Dan Code plot have always done. See Haki in the Avengers and any number of characters from the Fast and Furious movie. One of the main issues with the character in The Last Night is that they don't just act the way they are feeling. They announce almost every single mode they have outlawed, despite it being blatantly obvious. So as Stan Lee, you see shows up really shade to the point. It's not enough that he is serving from side to side on his cohorts, like a Tom and Jerry cartoon. But he literally exclaims, I am so sad, as if it was not glaringly apparent it's as tough. Does not trust his audiences enough to let him work out when the most obvious thing for themselves. Ironic given the film's options land. There is also no end of the befitting board. Some have got celebrity Victor Stam, Omar Say, and Johan Goodman, all bang out metallic whip. But action movie at such an intense pace that is hard to be distinguished board from board. This is particularly true of the newcomer Ken Hopper, who looks almost exactly like series regular Bumblebee except for a dirty pile of bricks struck to be his back. Add the similarities between the Transformers and already converted plot, and the whole thing ends up jumping around like a massive chimney mess. Where Bear does impress, it is massive set pieces involving the human. One particularly exciting action sequence involves Wahlberg running up a fallen space, which is being attacked not only by deception but by giant tidal waves too. These occur way too far into the film after you have spent more than 2 hours following these characters around the globe. The same goes for the much teased fight between the Bumblebee and Optimus Prime, and what should have been an iconic showdown just leave you hoping for a quick resolution between these warring friends. Michael Bay has now been making Transformers films for more than 10 years. In that time, the series has moved on very little, and The Last Night is the loudest and most explosively dull installment yet. A recycled plot told through an overly on-the-top noise script, read by a confusing pair of characters, and mutual action scene does nothing to justify its epic length. The prominent action movie Michael Bay has given us a fifth movie in the Transformers story retail film franchise. Or maybe it is the 45, it is difficult to tell. Just as it is difficult to be remembered precisely how many cars were involved in a motorway pile-up in which you have been injured. We are talking about the same stereotype as the previous four films, the same epic of the inducing the pointlessness that Odysseys have come to be loved or hate or solely what to do over. Like so many of the Michael Bay's movies, it is a machine for the converting your brain matter into the soap. Although I have a soft spot for Bay's rather funny action comedy Pain and Gain from 2013. Transformers The Last Night comes in now at 49 minutes, and each of those minutes lasts as long as a region. Once again, normal-sized car turned themselves into the kinetic robot, while professional characters and technique was something comparably happened to their bank account. This is reputed to be based final Transformers movies as acted. A farewell, he clearly recorded important enough to make this a colossal return of the King Trap final. Like Tom Cruise's recent Mummy actioner, it begins with a cogent vision of olden days Britain. The suggestion is created to be land instant, matic, textual, and purpose to what is. After all, a gigantic toy commercial when the sense of this ending drawn on you. Somewhere after the 110 minute, there is a glimmer of hope. A feeling that the Transformers ordeal might be over, but oh no. Mark Wahlberg, the dependable actor board, is brought back to be reprise a character. The play he played in the previous film, which is inaccurately related of the Autobot leader Optimus Prime, is now absent from it, and while other countries might have come to be various accommodation with the Transformer, in the US there is a conflict between them and the paramilitary Transformers reaction force. But this whole tense situation is prefaced by what happened 1600 years earlier. A vision of the night of the old batting on England's green sword, and Arthur's magician Merlin being entrusted with madly went by it is of stuff that the certain Transformers in the present day want, but the breastplate finds itself excited by the forces of the Disney to the rapt and the buff body of the kid who used to be humanity hero. Certain British academies and are aware of the Transformers link with the England legend, notably Sir Edmund Wharton played by Anthony Hopkins, a charismatic nobleman who in some accords and the keeper of the ultimate secret. Then there is a brilliant young Oxford historian with the name of the Vivian Wembley, played by Haddock and is for all academic qualifications, made to conform to be based old school news of femininity. She is of course to have a romantic spark with a cat. How does one to go about is describing a piece of painting? Sure, they are magnificent in the majesty of the imagination and execution, but most of them are just a mixture of shape and line that form relative nothingness, and yet we love them for the nuance and symbolism that your artwork evoke. So how does one go about it describing a Michael Bay film? Same kind of the confused explosion of particle, but instead of any meaningful impact. The end result of look like a baby has thrown his ball of the spaghetti on the floor and Transformer 5 the last night. It has become a refuge camp for the board, looking for a place to call home. Humans are fed up and have banned all Transformers from sheltering on our planet. However, when one side is done time their size and has getting gone for arms, the latter can be what it want. Again I'll note. An Autobot remained without a fearless leader Optimus Prime who is back on the Cybertron trying to be uncertain what happened to this kind and how is to save his race. In his absence, there is little to no order in the human-bot relationship, and the fiction came to be had a rare caretaker. Returned to the spotlight now a wanted fugitive for his action in the previous film. He is an ally of the Bumblebee, Horn, Drift, and the remaining Goody. Transformers don't worry if you don't know their name, it's not really important, more so the voices that accompany them. John Goodman can now that Eager is back on the scene, a whole bunch of this scented thing, almost like a movie is occurring at the same time. Optimus meets his maker, Quintessa, an omnipotent god of the Cybertron who poisoned his mind, turning him evil, and began her campaign traveling across the star to be claimed as their new homeland. A very smart British woman who loves history swept in a worldwide conspiracy where she happened to be the chosen one that will save humanity kind of like a young girl and her pet transformer will set up on a series of events that causes the Decepticon to be hired by the US Army as allies to be retrieved the MCU film that will have stopped the newly discovered planet-sized unicorn from consuming at itself. Anthony Hopkins will be the film to be served the purpose of backstory filler as the Transformers universe is expanded endlessly and will learn that these machines have been around since the Dark Age, mingling with the Merlin, art tales and magic alien stick. Seems like a lot to process, right? It is far too much. By the time any of these thread pay off, you are too busy thinking of the other things happening, like cramming and study before an exam. Michael Bay is an ambitious and respectfully innocent actor with his own unique and recognizable style. But like Picasso and the artists before him, who know how long this image can remain uncertain as a probable, Twin Screech on this undying, unfortunately, ongoing franchise that is still finding reason to be continued. Just go make bad bestiality and people will love you again, George. The Transformers films as baffling series spun out of a Hasbro monster truck by choice system designed to connect with the inner worldview of 9-year-old. Started off in 2007 as exceedingly wholesome, with a different decade of the semi-coherent robot fury Overkill make. The fifth film in the hugely popular, critically reviled franchise has have been a movie series. The Justifications name defied gangsta, the goofy, beggarish Nitrosio. Look as if they might be auditioning the suicide scare too. And then later, Megatron stuck around with the angriest possible attitude. His face marked by a blood and red splash. The good guy Autobot come off nearly as wasted. Bumblebee is introduced by getting blasted off to pieces, and even the stalwart superhero Optimus Prime has slipped over to be sinister side. He has made a deal with the alien sorceress Quintessa. His addition, a medieval backstory that returns to the story of the King Arthur. But even this potentially story promises stage in a heavy metal meets a bloodshed way that put the dog back in the dark ages. All of which make the last night the first Transformers movie that could actually be characterized as badass, which is not bad thing, it may be in fact the better. So what the quick cuts and the throwaway line are taking the place of what in other movie would be calmly staged the dramatic scene. I can only speculate, says Michael Bay. Is still enjoy directing this latest installment is almost as if this series fulfill him. Instead of knocking under to the entire system the way he had to do when he made such relatively work for external craft as the bad boys, they can just let his action movie. Yet what exhausting about the Transformers film is that hatred, bland wholesomeness, the empathy energy that can give you a season of antique radium. The Last Night, by contrast, has the somewhat sexier flavor of impending dystopia. and is actually, if this can be believed, even more over the top than the previous four films. For the first time, the messy, hyperactive reform, the grunge metal content seem to be reinforce each other. Playing free floating, the solution that is not aligned enough to be get in the way of his wrapped belly, and the previous Transformers film, Age of Extinction, the actors first. Vasu had is a irredeemable snowclear that has the ability to ground his movie to stand up to be metal in a way that if softer Shia LaBeouf did not. Wahlberg created a greasy, longish-haired Texas inventor caretaker, but no matter how often you say it, that does not sound like a name. He's of the great running a sport car junk where he looks after Autobot like hound. A stogie jumping brawler with a Neptune beard. The rage of a restrictions your cat out of his old room, and before long he is gone. Together with Vivian Bombley, an Oxford professor who is surely the first scholar in the university history to teach classes is therapy pump that look like they were purchased during a shopping agree. Vivian is played by Laura Haddock, a British actress whose greatest presence thus far has been a Patercus murder in the Guardians of the Galaxy film, but she is real, fine with a buckish civil